Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to Tea and Tarot. Not in the trailer in my living room for the winter, but it's still good. So thanks for coming. Grab your tea, grab your coffee, water, whatever you're drinking, and we'll jump in shortly, just waiting for everyone to arrive. So for those who are new, this is Tea and Tarot. Welcome. Every 2 weeks we gather and I go to the cards to tune into them to find out what's going on for the next 2 weeks coming energetically, and to tune into all of you as well to find out what's happening with you. So just so you know, I set the intention before every Tea and Tarot to go to the cards for what's happening in a general sense in the world so that this is relevant for everyone. But I also take into consideration the group that is signing on. So sometimes you might find a certain card speaks to you, or something I say you might really need to hear, and that's just because I set the intention that I'm going to bring those messages through that are relevant for you guys. Okay, so if there's ever any card decks that you want me to focus on, just let me know in the messages and I will do my best to accommodate. I'm always gathering more decks, so I have a couple of new ones that were used 2 weeks ago but are still new to me, so we're going to definitely go to those ones. And how is everyone doing? I don't even know what to say about the energy out there right now. It's very high frequency energy out there right now, so that's a great thing if you're feeling good. It doesn't help if you're not feeling good, because what it does is it magnifies everything. So for those of you who have been really struggling lately, it's really important that you do some things to help shift your state of mind so that you can start manifesting in a way that suits you better, because this energy will just magnify whatever's happening. So if things are going south, they will continue to do so. So more than ever, and I've talked about this before, but more than ever, self-care is so important. Taking that time to meditate, to get some stretching or some exercise in, and do all of those things to keep yourself just surviving right now is what it's about. So let's go to the cards and see what our guides and angels and spirits have to say about the next coming week, and I hope it's good. I'm going to start with the daily guidance from your angel deck. It's an older deck. It looks like this for those who might have it. It's really ratty because it's my oldest deck. But this one, when I was opening up the cards to start this morning, this one, the cards kept jumping out at me. So like flying all over the place, which is sometimes a sign, if you have an oracle card deck, that those cards want to be read if they start exploding all over your house. So we'll start there first. Okay, let's see what we've got here. So I pulled a card, the words on it's trustworthy guidance. Okay, you can see the angel helping this person with their writing. It's a really interesting card because I was just teaching a Meet Your Spirit Guides workshop on Friday night, and I talked about the importance of journaling when connecting to spirit. And the reason we do that is because we have a busy, active mind. And so when information from spirit comes in, there's a tendency to want to analyze it, change it, interpret it. And sometimes the information we receive doesn't make sense to us in the moment. It's maybe for the future. It's maybe for another person. So the act of writing gives your busy mind something to do so that that information from spirit can flow through more clearly. Now, this card I feel has to do with that a bit for those of you who are wanting to connect to your spirit guides and angels in a deeper way. I would suggest journaling, like the old-fashioned way with the pen. But for those of you who are trying to figure out things in your life or find more clarity, writing is a really helpful tool to help you access your subconscious and help you access those parts of yourself that aren't available to you during the day when you're in your mind. Also, journaling is really helpful just to sort of purge or dump everything that's in your head out on paper. A friend of mine gave me some great advice, and he said that it's great just in the morning just to do a mind dump on paper, just whatever's in your head, get it out on paper and just so it's out of your head. And then you can do whatever you want with that. You might want to burn it or just throw it away or keep it if it's like a creative mind dump. but writing does really help us process things in our brain and in our body. So I always suggest to people journaling is an excellent way to connect to yourself and to connect to spirit. And that to me is the most trustworthy guidance, and which is what this card is about. Because when we get guidance from our mind, it's not always the best, right? Because our mind can sometimes be our own worst enemy. For those of you who struggle with negative thought patterns or feelings of not feeling good enough or self-sabotage, procrastination, all that kind of stuff, that's your mind kind of trying to keep you from doing what it is you're supposed to be doing. So we all have sort of parts of our mind. We have that sort of sabotage part, and then we have the cheerleader part. So, but when we connect to spirit and when we connect to our authentic soul self, we're going to find that the guidance isn't only trustworthy, but it's very helpful, it's very supportive, it's very loving, and it's very kind. It doesn't mean that spirit is not going to call us on our crap, because believe me, that happens. But they always have solutions around the problem. It's not just like, here's the problem, deal with it. It's like, these are some solutions to help. So for those of you who are not able to connect on your own yet, or have no desire to, you can always get help by using oracle cards to get your messages, or someone who is intuitive. And if you're looking at developing this further, getting an oracle card deck is a wonderful way to start. I've had a couple people ask me to do an oracle card workshop, so I'm working on finishing that, so that will be an online workshop. But I do a practical intuition evening once a month where we delve into developing your intuition. So you can check the links in my bio, or you can message me about that if you're interested in learning to develop your intuition, because we all are very capable of doing that. But this card is about trustworthy guidance, and I feel the most trustworthy guidance is from yourself and from spirit. Also good friends too as well, right? Like spirit will use other people to get messages to you, whether it's a song on the radio or something you read or advice somebody gives you. But be on the lookout for this, because I feel like we're all going to have some help over the next couple of weeks, and it might be from unlikely sources. So that's good. That's good to know. All right, now I'm feeling romance angels are lighting up. So I don't know if someone's looking for love, or if you've got relationship questions, or, you know, sorting things out with relationships, but this deck was drawing my attention, so we'll go to it. All right. And you know what? I have to tell you, this deck, I mean, I don't even know how I ended up with this deck. I think this was one of the sample decks I had at my wellness center, because when I sold decks, I would have a deck open so that people could kind of see inside the deck. There's nothing worse than buying a card deck and not knowing what it looks like on the inside. Thank goodness for the internet now, we can see inside, but years ago, you wouldn't be able to. So I think I opened this one for that reason, and then I just ended up using it. It's actually got some really great cards in it. Okay, so healing family issues, interesting. Oh yes. Okay, so we are a product of our environment, okay? And that soup that you're marinated in when you grow up, it does affect you, you know? So not just biologically, but socially and other ways. And how we are in relationships, we take our first experience of relationships, which is from our family when we're younger, into our adulthood. So a lot of times when we are having repetitive issues in relationships, whether they're friendships or partnerships, we do need to kind of go back and do a bit of soul excavation there and find out, you know, what are some of these beliefs that I brought forward from my childhood. And the funny thing about beliefs is that people will fight to the death over a belief, but if you actually track it back and figure out, where did this belief come from? Where did it originate? 9 times out of 10, it was someone else's idea that you just adopted. And often without doing your own research. So that's kind of a scary thing. So relationship stuff, if you're struggling with it right now, the hopeful message is that it's always easy to change, guys. You can change any pattern in your life very easily. The hard part is recognizing there's a problem, okay? As soon as you recognize there's an issue or there's something you want to change, you're 80% of the way there. The next 20% is you just applying a little bit of effort and a little bit of repetition to build that new neural net in your brain for change. So it might mean that you have to remind yourself. You might have to put Post-it notes all over your wall or something on your phone to remind you, just to kind of have a different outlook, or getting some help. You know, often counselors can help with family issues, but this is about healing the family issues. So it's not about, you know, worrying about them or getting depressed about them, or like, oh, this is never going to change kind of feeling. It's about healing. It's time. It's time to deal with some of this stuff. Maybe you've been sweeping it under the carpet for years, and now it's rearing its ugly head, and it's sort of bleeding into your everyday, because it's saying, you know, it's time to talk about this stuff. And if you do need to have a conversation with a loved one about the heavy feelings you're carrying, those conversations can be really, really hard, okay? But once you have them, you'll feel so much lighter. It is better to share the truth with the people that you love in your life. And sharing truth doesn't have to be a really horrible thing that destroys people. I like to, when I'm going into a big conversation, ask my guides and angels to be with me and help me find the right words so that I can speak from the heart and reach that person, and also listen to them as well. Because most of the relationship issues between people can be healed if you actively listen more than you speak, which is ironic because we always think we're the ones that need to be speaking and figuring it out. But just listening to your partner, listening to your family members, this stuff can be healed, okay? So if you're struggling with your kids, if you're struggling with your parents, brothers, sisters, partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever, please just set the intention to heal that relationship and do whatever it takes to get there. It is possible. This card is coming up because it wants us to focus on healing our family issues, whether they're present or from the past. And doing that work is really valuable. It will really change your life, unbelievably so. And if you struggle with it, just like anything else, get some help. Get a friend or family member to help you. Somebody who has great relationships. Get some advice from that person. I remember years ago when I worked at the wellness center, one of the girls that worked with me, it seemed like she had the perfect marriage. And when I actually talked to her about it and tried to get some advice about her relationship, she told me about the horrible times that they had gone through, where they had almost split up several times. And I was shocked because I couldn't believe it. They seemed to have this beautiful, supportive, equal, really unconditional love communion with one another. And so sometimes we see things from the outside and we have no idea what's going on under the surface, but she gave me some really great advice. So sometimes just reaching out and asking people that you think have it together with their relationships for some advice, you can get some really great tips there. So don't give up hope. If it feels like your relationships have gone a little sideways, that's normal right now. A lot of us feel really isolated. I feel really isolated from my family. I haven't been able to see my grandmother in almost a year. You know, in some of my immediate family, everyone's in their little pods. We're all trying to do what we can do, but it's sad. It's really hard to be away from people, and it does affect relationships. So we have to get a little creative in how we interact with each other now, because, you know, not everyone has the internet. Not everyone is Zooming and stuff like that. So anyways, just something to keep in mind. Healing family issues is on the radar for the next couple weeks if you haven't experienced it already. Okay? All right, so I've got Ascended Masters jumping out at me. I don't always, I think, go to this deck, but it's looks like this here if you have it. It's a really old deck. I have a lot of old Doreen Virtue decks, and they're no longer in print. So if you have an old Doreen Virtue deck, don't get rid of it, because they're not making any more, and so it might be worth a lot of money someday. Who knows? But they are good. Actually, I was telling my Reiki class on the weekend, Value Village is a great place to go to look for books and card decks. People get rid of them all the time. Sometimes they're still in the plastic. So if you have one in your neighborhood, definitely check it out. Okay, so I pulled the Horus card, and it's got that all-seeing eye in it, and also of protection. And when I go into this card, I feel like this card has to do with balance and balancing the emotions. So if you feel like you've been a little bit unsettled lately with your emotions, or all over the place, or maybe you feel like you all of a sudden have depression or anxiety and you've never had that before, or maybe you're having trouble, you know, usually you have a positive outlook and you've really have had trouble sort of drawing that up. This card is about finding balance, and not just in your environment, not just in your day-to-day routine, but in your body as well. So look at your life, notice kind of what's out of alignment, like what has slid off. Maybe your diet and what you normally eat has kind of gone a bit sideways. Maybe your physical activity isn't what it used to be. Maybe you're not taking that time for yourself like you used to. Maybe you used to journal. Maybe you used to have that time to kind of learn new things. To bring that balance back, because you do need to keep your balance, especially if you have a lot of people relying on you and needing your energy throughout the day. You need to find a way to fill yourself up. So this card is about maintaining that balance, and it's also about asking Spirit for help. And I know I kind of say this a lot in the Tea and Tarot, asking Spirit for help. It's because Spirit can't interfere with our free will, okay? So they can't jump in and help us unless we ask for help or give permission. And traditionally, we would do that through prayer. And so when you hear those stories of people have these miraculous things happen once they open up and pray, you are surrendering. You're saying, you know what, this is too big for me. I need help with this. And when you do that, the help comes, okay? So try that. If you've never tried that, don't wait till you hit rock bottom to ask for help, okay? Just think of something big in your life you're struggling with that's too much for you, and just hand it over to Spirit, to God, to whatever deity or whatever energy you resonate with. Just say, this is too much for me. I have to give it to you. And it makes sense, because when we live down here on this plane, we're on sort of a linear timeline, and we have very limited perspective as to what's going on. But Spirit can always see past, present, future simultaneously, and kind of knows where we're going and what our best path is. So it's like the GPS in your car or on your phone. It gives you the best route to get where you're going faster. I mean, you can go your normal way and that's fine, and hit traffic and construction. It's up to you. But when you use your GPS, it gives you the most efficient route there, the easiest, most seamless route. And so when you ask Spirit for help, you get that. And it's not like Spirit shows up in your kitchen. It's like, well, today, you must do this and this and this. No, mysterious ways, right? But you will feel like opportunity comes, or that help comes to you. You will have some kind of a sign. And if you don't get a sign, you can ask. You can say, listen, I need help with this big thing. Please take it from me, and just, do your best. And then say, can you give me a sign that I was heard? And you will get something happen. Now, if it's something freaky and things move around in your house or fall off the walls or whatever, or music spontaneously comes on your radio, don't get freaked out, because you asked for a sign. It's not like you're being haunted by a poltergeist or anything, okay? So don't worry about that. But definitely please ask for help. Do it this week, even if it's for something small, if you've never done it before, because I want you guys all to have that beautiful experience, to know that you're not just on the planet by yourself. All right, you're really not. We have a lot of loving support around us in the unseen, and it's really wonderful when you invite that to help you, and in whatever way you want. You could pray to God, you could pray to Jesus, to Mary, to Buddha. Like, it doesn't matter what your religious inclination is, if you even have one. You can just ask the universe for help. It can be very specific to a deity. It can be very general. But you can just ask, Spirit of my highest and best good, please take this heavy thing from me and help me with that. Okay, so just try that and work on that balance with yourself. You'll have more energy. You'll be able to get through the day a bit better. What card's next? Okay, I feel like the Starseed Oracle. So this is one of my new decks. It's one of my favorites. I actually ordered a bunch of decks, so I am kind of I'm selling them if anyone needs them. I have a couple extras. You can just message me. I did have a lady tell me to bring them to my Reiki class on the weekend, and I did. But I have all these things that I'm selling, but I don't tell anyone I'm selling them. It's ridiculous. But anyway, if you need a card deck, an oracle card deck, you can message me. I can send you what I've got. If you're around, I can drop it off, or you can pick it up at my house. So this one, lifting the veil. Okay, so the veil is often referred, you often hear about the veil between both worlds, between our world and the spirit world. It's not like there's a set of beautiful curtains. I mean, I always thought it sounded like that, like the veil between both worlds. It's like these curtains. And I mean, it might look like that, but lifting the veil is about recognizing that there is one in the first place. Okay, that this is not the only reality there is. I know, right? For some of you, you're going to be like, honestly, there are other realities, and spirit can't be in a physical body like we are right now, or they'd be here on the earth. Like when we die, we discard the physical body. We run it into the ground, we wear it out, but we still live on. We take everything with us. We're just in a different package. We're in our light body, and the light body doesn't show up like a physical body on this level. So, how do we communicate? Well, it's different. And often when people start communicating with spirit, they feel like it's the I don't want to make it sound like you're a crazy person, but it's like you have a voice in your head or a knowing in your head, and people are like, well, how do I know it's not me? And I'm like, well, just journal. Just write down whatever pops into your head. At the end of the day, when you read that, you're going to realize that's not you. It might sound a bit like you, but it's always smarter. It always has better advice. So that's how you know when you're connecting to spirit. But it can feel very seamless, and it can be hard to discern. And so it takes lots of practice, lots of courses you can take to kind of start to connect. But lifting that veil is just being aware that veil there. And I think this card's coming up to say to us that it's time to start kind of using our resources, not just our physical ones, but our spiritual supportive ones. Because yes, you can get through life on your own, absolutely. But imagine if you have a team of support that you actually utilize, how amazing your life would be. Okay, like when you think of the rich and famous people, they've got like personal chefs, they have personal trainers, they have all these people that are helping them be amazing. They have people that do their hair and makeup every day. Like, I mean, I would be amazing if I had someone do my hair and makeup instead of like putting eyeshadow on with my finger. I'm a horrible makeup person. Oh, don't get me started. But anyway, so asking for help, guys, let's try it, okay? Spooky, cool things are gonna happen. I can't wait to hear all about it. And if you get freaked out, just message me and I can talk you through it, because, we do fear the unknown. And if you've never done anything like that before, it can feel a little strange, but you are protected. You are in a high frequency energy. Nothing kooky's going to happen to you. Don't believe the scary Halloween movies out there. It's not like that. I get really mad at Hollywood. I know it's there to entertain us, but it scares people from connecting to spirit when you watch those movies about possessed dolls coming to kill people, okay? Not real. Trust me, I've cleared a lot of haunted houses over the years. It's just, watch those movies, but, not the same thing. Okay, so we're going to go to this deck, Return of the Spirit, which is a fractal deck that I love, love, love. And we're going to go to this one now. Also, too, I know in my area we're kind of, people aren't really going out and that kind of thing, but I did go to the movies the other night, and I saw an old, like they're playing old movies, so it was from the 80s. It was called The Lost Boys. It was a vampire movie, old vampire movie. I don't know if you guys remember that. I'm so old, but anyway, I needed the popcorn. There was like 2 other people in the whole entire theater, so I think it's actually safer going to the movies than it is the grocery store. So if you want to keep those businesses open, and you want to just get out of the house and do something fun, like the place was like a ghost town, so I think it's pretty safe going to the movies if you're thinking about it. Anyway, okay, I pulled this card here, and it's called Commitment, but I'm kind of looking at that image in the center, which is almost like the what do you call it, I can't even think of the word for it, the symbol for infinity. It's like a figure 8, which to me is what the chakras look like. The energy comes out, loops around, goes back in. So it's like a figure 8 all through the body. Creates this sort of torsion field. Commitment. I feel like this is about you guys committing to yourself in a way and deciding kind of how you want to live your life going forward. Because even though we live in a world right now that feels largely out of control, we have a lot of control. We can control how we are, how we feel, how we act, how we interact, our choices, our direction. we have more freedom than we realize, even though it feels like we have none. So committing to what you believe in and what's important to you. And that might mean speaking out about some things. But if you do so, try and do it in a loving way. I haven't been able to spend too much time on Facebook. People are having... I talked about this in my Reiki class on the weekend. Okay, when you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice, right? But when you squeeze a person, any number of things can come out of that person. And when somebody's really stressed, you're going to experience anger, judgment, hatred, fear. And so sometimes in the Facebook comments, people are kind of like sort of attacking each other. And I have a really hard time with that. Like, I understand that everyone has different views about what's going on, but this whole pitting people against people culture that we're in right now, I can't support. Tattling on your neighbors, all that kind of stuff, I can't support it. I don't think it's healthy. Anyone who suggests doing it, I have a hard time trusting them with any of the guidance they give. And yeah, so that means I have been questioning a lot of things normally that I would just trust in. So this is about committing to yourself, committing to your values, committing to your beliefs, not hammering them over someone else's head, but committing to them deep inside yourself so that your actions in the world are operating in integrity with your belief system, okay? We can all disagree with each other and still love each other. Everyone on the planet wants the same thing, okay? We all want to be happy. We all want to be healthy. We all want to have beautiful, supportive relationships. We all want to have the freedom to create a beautiful life. We all want the same thing. It's just, we go about it in different ways. But there's a lot of fear out there right now. There's a lot of sadness. There's a lot of grief because so much has been lost. And not just lives, but livelihoods. Okay? So compassion is key, and it's so hard to have compassion when someone triggers you and when someone's being mean. And so that's when you have to dig deep and really hold your center and just be in that space of love. If we can do this, we can turn this around. We can still go through this change. We can still go through this challenge, and we can come out the other side and be better as a species for it. Because what's happening in the world right now is literally the Tower card, where people are flying out of a burning building. Everything is falling apart. It looks terrible. But after that, that's just the old dying away. And we need that to happen so we can create the new. But with everyone focusing on the disaster, guess what we're creating? More disaster. You have to stop looking at what's died and start focusing on what you want, how you want the new world to look, how you want it to be, and put your energy there. And I talked about it in past episodes that you vote for wherever your focus is. Wherever your focus is in life, you are putting your energy on that. You're saying, I agree with this, I want this. So if your focus every day is on news and negativity and heavy energy, you're putting your money there. You're buying that. So think about it like that. Wherever you put your attention and energy, you're putting your currency, you're purchasing that. You want more of that. And if you find yourself in places that you, and things that you don't want to create more of, then shift it. Start imagining and say, okay, this is horrible right now, but how do I want things to go? And put your energy on that. It's like when you build your dream home. You might buy a shack on a hill and have to tear it down and build your dream home. You don't spend the entire time looking at your shack. You've got blueprints for the new design. You're finding all your people to build the new house. You're super excited, right, about the new thing. You're not like standing and looking at the broken old house and going, oh God, this is terrible and things are going to be so bad and the world is ending. No, you're like, so it's the same thing. We have to look at what we're creating and we have to choose what we're creating. And collectively, we are so powerful and everyone's just running around like a chicken with their head cut off. And I'm like, would everyone just get it together? Breathe and focus on what you want to create. And if we all do that together, we can shift this really quickly. Okay? Be with me on this for the next 2 weeks. Do your best. Commit to yourself, commit to your path, commit to your future, commit to that vision that you want to create. Let's try to bring it into manifestation because Lord knows we need it right now. Okay, can't get any worse, I hope. So, rant over. Okay, work your light oracle cards. I think we're all, as Canadians, a little nervous about the American election, and any Americans out there, we're nervous about your election. I just don't know. Not that we're perfect over here, but okay. So work your light cards. These are like a really, beautifully done deck, actually. I love it when artists take the time to make the back side of the cards nice. It's why not? Okay. Pleiades. I pulled the Pleiades card, and this is about channeling, uplifting humanity. And it's funny because it was sort of what I was ranting about a little bit. We're shifting and we're evolving as a species, and we have a choice here whether we're uplifting humanity or we're taking it into the dark ages. And I just want to say something. Remember back in 2012 and 2013, and everyone thought the world was going to end? Remember that? It kind of did. Okay, and what changed there is that we had a lot of protection around us up to that point about creating our reality, and spirit was helping us and guiding us and making sure we didn't create anything too horrible. But over the years, we've been given more and more reins on our influence, our energy's influence on like the co-creation of our future. And so far, we're not doing so hot because we're focusing on really horrible things and we're creating really horrible things. So this is about shifting that to something more positive. And I know it's hard to do when you're feeling crappy, but this is go time, guys. This is kind of, for those of you who've been doing healing work and meditated your whole life, this is what it's been for. It's been training for this moment to stay centered in the midst of chaos, to keep your compassion in the midst of chaos. We're in the trenches. So just like the frontline workers are doing their thing, all of you energy healers, intuitive people, even if you're new to this, your energy matters. Okay, it matters. So do whatever you can to put that love out into the universe, because it really does. Think about it, and you can feel it right now. Are you guys feeling the chills right now when you think about putting the love into the universe? It's like a really strong, uplifting energy. Wouldn't you want to be in that all day instead of the energy of, right? Be with me on this. I'm not just talking about being happy and ignoring everything. Like, we have to live in the world, but I'm talking about, again, choosing that, right? We are uplifting humanity right now. Unfortunately, we're not all going to be beamed up to the mothership like Star Trek. Like, we are here healing the earth, and it's our responsibility to heal here. So what I was talking about earlier about 2012, 2013, you probably all experienced a big shift where something ended for you, whether it was a relationship, a job, a way of being, a health crisis. There was sort of a turning point around those years, maybe between 2011 and 2014. It might have been early or late for some of you, but there was a big shift. And now we are being asked to create from our energy, and we're doing it together. So when we look at the world and say what's happening out there, well, guess what? We've all made the mess together. So now it's time to clean it up. So, sound good? All right. So more cards. This is one of my favorite decks, my favorite new decks. It's called the Sears Tarot, the Light Sears Tarot. I'll show you the box. I just love this deck. Can't get enough of it. Nobody gives me free decks. Nobody's telling me to promote their decks. I just am telling you about the decks I love. I just want to say that because you never know these days, right? If that ever happens, I'll be thrilled if someone gives me a free deck, and I'll tell you that's what's happening. But no, right now it's just me spending all my money on decks instead of groceries. Oh, being self-employed is so much fun. Anyway, okay. So strength. Okay, you see how half of her face is a lion? And she's got the lamb in front of her and that heart around her neck? Being strong doesn't mean ripping somebody's head off. You can have the inner strength of a lion and still be as gentle as a lamb. And in fact, true power is gentle. It doesn't come across as, because nobody responds to that. If you try to beat someone over the head and say, you need to believe this and you need to do this, and you're not going to get very far with them. If you meet someone where they're at and try to understand where they're coming from and listen to them, then maybe they'll do the same with you, and we can actually have real communication, But being powerful is about having that power and knowing you have it and being responsible with it and not chopping people's heads off with it. It's about having the sword and never having to use it, okay? Because you can be powerful and gentle. And actually, there's more strength and gentleness than there is in coming out in a fighting mode. That real power comes when our energy sits in our heart. And that is the seat of our compassion. When we're in power and force, we're in these energy centers here, which are about power and control and pain and suffering and sort of shoving things down people's throats. And that's really how the world operates to a large degree. But we're being asked to sort of operate from this center, which to some people feels very weak and very gentle and all love and whatever, and that's not powerful. Oh, yeah, you want to bet? Love is the force that keeps everything together in the universe. It literally keeps gravity together. It keeps your body together. It keeps things from blowing up. It's extremely powerful. So this is asking you to recognize that powerful side of yourself, that you have like that lion, that energy, that strength within you. Even if you're not feeling it, it's there. You can access it, okay? But it's not about letting it come out like anger or rage or like, I'm gonna kill you, no. It's about taking that powerful energy and channeling it through your heart center. So it comes out like powerful strength, but like love at the same time. And it is possible to do both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can powerfully have boundaries and stand up for yourself and be in your truth and speak in a loving way to somebody and get your point across. You can do this. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So if you feel like in your own life, you've always shied away from anger for when you've gotten triggered, and instead of getting angry and saying something, you've kind of swallowed those words back down. Then eventually they all come out like word vomit and scares people, and then you reinforce that you should not speak your truth. No, it's about when that feeling comes, when that agitation comes or that anger comes, that's fuel, that's energy, that's your soul saying, I've got to do something about this. So at taking that energy, bringing it into your heart and bringing it through and, up through your throat chakra and out your mouth, speak your truth in a loving way. Sometimes we need to do that. And especially if you feel like you've been taken advantage of or people are being mean to you or whatever, sometimes we do need to step up and honor our boundaries. But it doesn't mean about beating people up. It doesn't mean about cutting people out of your life. It's not about that at all. It's about feeling secure enough and loving yourself enough to express your deeper feelings. And it can be done in a loving way. And if you struggle with that, again, ask for help. Ask your guides and angels to help you find the right words. Okay? But you guys are strong. Even if you're feeling weak and tired right now and beaten down, there's a lion in there. So channel that energy, connect to that energy. Find your inner strength, find your inner warrior, but know that inner warrior isn't about, chopping heads off. It's about finding the power to feel secure enough to be in your truth and your energy and who you are, and not worrying about the judgment of other people, because that doesn't matter. You have to live true to who you are. It's important. If you don't do that, you just drain energy all day, and eventually you won't have enough energy to make a cup of tea. Okay, so you can do it in a loving way, but this is about connecting to your strength. So I don't think the next 2 weeks are going to be awful, but I do think there are going to be a couple of moments where some of you are going to have to stand in your truth or stand in your energy and be secure in that. And it might be uncomfortable for you. It might be something you've never done before. And so, but try it, okay? It's important. It's coming up for all of us. And that means me too. I mean, I don't like, doing that either. It can be hard. So if I could do it, you could do it. All right, let's go to the universal love deck. Okay, what if we've got two on this one. Sometimes decks, there's more than one card, and it's like, pick me, like Donkey and Shrek, if you've seen that movie. Okay. So the card I ended up going with, because there were two that were like really sort of, you know what, I'm going to pull two of them. I feel like I'm supposed to pull both. I think they go together. Okay, so the first one I pulled was a card. Obviously, she looks very sad, and it's about sorrow or grief. And then the other one is healing sounds. So it's important to talk about this because a lot of us have been going through some really heavy emotions, and it's okay to have those emotions, and it's okay to feel them, and we need to have a way to release them. And some of us are not comfortable with releasing our emotions. And, I'm the worst. Even doing things like a meditation or yoga practice or healing work on yourself, you'll sometimes avoid it when something's coming to the surface to be cleared. So usually there's an emotion involved. I will clean out the kitty litter and scrub my bathroom tiles with a toothbrush before I'll do my yoga that day. Like, I'll do everything to creatively avoid it. And then when I finally do it, it's like, oh, all this like stuff was coming up to be released, usually with tears. So it's important to let yourself release those heavy emotions. It's okay. Just if you have a cry about something, it doesn't mean you're going to be crying for 20 years and lost in the depths of despair and go into a deep depression you'll never get out of. That's not the case, but it is okay to let this stuff come up and out. Try not to judge your emotions. That's where we sort of run into trouble and stay in them a little too long when we start judging them. Think of it more like weather patterns. And I know I've talked about this before. So when you cry, it's just like raining outside. It's probably not going to last more than a day or two. The sun always comes out. When it rains outside, we don't sit in our houses and go, God, it's going to rain forever and we'll never see the sun again. And it's like, no, it comes out again. So with your crying, don't always be like, why am I crying? What's wrong with me? And oh my God, this is terrible. Just release it. You could be crying stuff from when you're 5 years old and just releasing old things. And people that do yoga, and I find this in yoga too, when you're in a certain posture, a certain stretch, or a certain position, it can release emotions. And they might be from your present moment, or it could be from like years ago, and it doesn't make sense. And just let it out, let it go. And I mean, when I'm talking about sadness, there can be other emotions that come up. You can do yoga sometimes and be really agitated after, or meditate and be really like, rageful. Just let those emotions come up and let them move through you. Don't judge them. The judgment kind of it causes you to hang on to them for several days, and you don't need that. Just be like, oh, it's weather. It's just passing through, Healing sounds. So this one is I feel the solution to this. For those of you who are struggling with the grief and the loss and the sorrow and the heavy emotions, what can you do to help heal and balance that other than going for a healing session or doing self-care? Healing sounds. So using music, using sound to help you. And actually, if you just Google healing sounds, there's a lot of frequencies that are specific to healing our body and healing our energy. And you can listen to those as you sleep or put them on in your house throughout the day. It will shift the energy of your body. It will shift the energy of your energy field. It will shift the energy of your house. You'll notice a difference. Even if you don't believe in it, I encourage you to try it, just sort of as a social experiment. Try incorporating music into your life in the next couple weeks and see how it changes your environment and how it changes your frame of mind. Because often when we're depressed and we're feeling crappy, the first thing we don't do is listen to music anymore. And we are beings that really resonate with sound. We always have. In fact, I really believe sound is the key to a lot of our healing and a lot of our technology that we've lost. Like, I have always believed Stonehenge was created with sound, and I believe the crop circles are created with high frequency sound. And I think a lot of things are shifted with sound, even sounds that we can't hear. So it's important to recognize that we are beings that resonate to vibration and frequency. And what is vibration and frequency? Well, it manifests a lot of the times as sound, even if we can't hear that sound. So look into that. There's all kinds of stuff, healing sounds, different hertz frequencies that are healing, solfeggio scale, whatever it is. Maybe you've got singing bowls and gongs, maybe you play a musical instrument, but just start bringing sound into your life over the next 2 weeks and see if it helps you feel better. See if it helps your energy. And sound can be just sitting outside and listening to the sounds in nature. We all feel amazing listening to the ocean or water. That's one of the reasons why we gravitate to beaches and rivers and forests, like hearing those healing nature sounds. We are being healed. It's not just the fresh oxygen. It's not just the energy of the plants and the rocks and the streams. It's actually the sounds in nature. So, okay. So allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to process that. Journal that out if that helps you. I always say to people, just purge out all of your stuff and have a little bonfire in the backyard or in a pot. I have a friend who has a sacred roasting pan she uses out on her kind of patio area because she doesn't have a fire pot. Whatever. Don't burn your house down. But that's a great way to release things as well. Just write it out and burn it and let it go to the universe. But then fill yourself up with sound. And you know, when I'm feeling crappy, if I get my stereo cranked and put on some music that I know uplifts me, like even Jeezy music, and just dance with my cat for a bit, I always feel better. Like it's always just funny. Like me just trying to sing is funny in itself, but music really does help. And you know, you're kind of in a dark place when you sort of give up music when it used to be important to you. So let's all bring it back. All right. Okay. So we're going to go to, I'm going to do one more deck and then we'll do the little mini angel card decks. So what should we do? What should we do? I feel like I have to go to the angel ones here. So the angel tarot. It's a nice big deck. Also too, I don't know, is anyone doing Halloween or dressing up? I'm not really feeling it this year. I usually love Halloween, but I'm like, I have to listen to some Halloween music and get remotivated. I never get kids in my neighborhood trick-or-treating. I remember my first year here, I dressed up. I had 3 costume changes and I had all kinds of candy, and I think I had 3 kids. It was so depressing, but I'm thinking about dressing up and just running up and down and around the neighborhood just for fun if anyone's out there. Okay, so Ace of Fire. This is a really good card. This is a card of new beginnings. This is a card of creativity. This is a card of that. Sometimes, you know, when you get an idea, we get ideas all the time, but you know, when you get that one idea and it's like, oh, this is the thing. This is the thing I've been waiting for. This is the thing I really want to do. And you're just lit up with it, the excitement of it. That's what's coming for us. Okay. So I think once we release a lot of this junk, you're going to feel a lot lighter. You're going to have your creativity come back to you. You're going to be more jazzed about life. And I know it's awful out there in a lot of ways, but there's opportunity in this chaos. Okay. I'm a big believer in lemonade from lemons. All right. Like, yes, things can be terrible, but there are gifts in it. There are gifts in terrible things. I don't spend a lot of time talking about this because I sort of am a person that likes to live in the present to the future and not always reference my past. But in my 20s, I was really not well and might have died. Obviously, I did not. I'm still here. But during that time, I wasn't sitting around crying, worrying about if I was going to live or die. I was sort of writing my list down of all the things I wanted to do in my life before I died and realized I needed at least another 30 or 40 years. And that dying at that time did not work for me. And got down with the business of getting better. So, I mean, everybody has a different approach, and you know, my kids were babies at the time, so it was a huge distraction. But I think, like, I got creative. I was like, what do I want to do? What do I want to create? And I put my energy into that instead of worrying about like exiting the planet. So I think sometimes like this creative energy is a great way for us to get out of our funkiness. Okay. So start a new project, learn a new language, do a new thing. It might be a weird thing. Like I learned how to hula hoop a couple years ago. I'm still not great at it. And I'm probably too old to hula hoop, but I don't care because it's so much fun and I love it, you know? So that keeps us young. It keeps us healthy. It keeps us alive, learning new things, using our creativity. Doesn't mean you have to be an artist. You could have creativity with making a beautiful meal or just sort of making your home feel a little bit better. There's lots of ways we can use our creativity, but this is about getting that idea or getting that thing. And if some of you have been asking a question, should I go forward on this path? I've been having this super great idea, but I just don't know. I'd be like, yes, if you're feeling it in your heart and your soul and you're like excited about it, when you think of it, there might be some fear if it's the unknown, but if you feel more excitement than fear, then I'd be like, go for it. Just go for it. You can always backtrack. You can always go back to your past. Your past is always there for you guys. You can always rewind. Don't use that as an excuse to not move forward. Try something. Some of us have to jump into things until we know if they're for us or not. You're not always going to figure it out in your head sitting on the couch. Is that for me or not? I don't know. You have to sometimes take that first step. Okay? So this is about taking action. This is about going for it. And this is about all that creative energy that's coming our way. So where does that one go over here? All right, so last, I'm going to pick an angel wing card. So I pick a card that has silver wings, a card that has gold wings, and then like a double circle card, which gives us kind of an idea of what's coming for us. Okay, so, oh, I pulled 2 key cards. Well, that's okay. I'll pull a silver wing too. Okay, peace and tranquility with trees and forests. All right, well, get outside before the snow comes, everybody. Spend some time in the woods. Peace and tranquility. Winds of change are blowing. You got that right. Fall is all about the winds of change. Just like the wind blows the dead leaves off the tree to make, to get it ready for winter and make room for those new leaves in the spring, things are getting blown out of our lives. You might find if something's not right for you, it's like literally exiting or being taken away, and that's okay. Just embrace that. The key is April and knowing when to let go. So we have some time to let this stuff go. And then the key is indigo to find your path of wisdom. So for those of you who are working on expanding your third eye chakra, focusing on the color indigo or that deep blue or purple will help open that energy center up. And you can just surround yourself in that color as well. It's a really beautiful healing color, especially if you're clearing things on the DNA level. So that's a wrap for today. For those who were late to join, don't worry. This will be posted on my Instagram profile. You can access it anytime you want. And in the links in my bio, I have a link to a page where I have all of the old tea and tarot that started when COVID started, and I've just kept it going. It was usually in my trailer, but the trailer's been closed for the winter. But, it will be open again in the spring. So it's going to be tea and tarot in my living room. I'll keep it going all winter because, it just was going to be a one-off. But why not? It's a thing. It's helping people. And I feel like at least I get to connect with you guys every 2 weeks. So it's helping me too. So thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I love all of you. For those of you who are looking for some healing and you want to do a really gentle yoga, even if you're a beginner and you know nothing about yoga, Wednesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. and I'll record it if you can't attend, but I'm having a 4-week session. It's a Reiki Relax Restore, and it's just about stretching the body, releasing stress, and getting a good night's sleep and getting your energy back up there again. So that's something that I'm doing that might help. And free Reiki every Tuesday night, distance Reiki. So just comment on my Instagram. I will send it to you. If you're on the list, I keep you on the list forever. But you can share that with friends and family that need a boost. And, it's just one thing I'm going to keep going through this whole thing. I think we need the extra support. So I love you guys. I love that you're all being lights in your own world to people around you. I love that about all of you. Please also, though, fill up your tank, okay, so that you can better serve everyone. Okay, so until next time, I will see you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week and weekend, and get out there before the snow comes, okay? All right, bye guys.